Welcome to today's episode, everyone. We've got a very exciting guest for you guys. For those of you just joining the podcast, we're E.N.G Media, and we specialize in helping software and technology companies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your software or tech business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us a word growth in the DMs. But without further ado, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. I'm really excited to dive into Unity Connect and really all the awesome stuff that you guys are working on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to come on your show.
Absolutely. So maybe we can kick things off by, you really telling both myself and really the audience just like an overview of what Unity Communications really is and what your guys' core area of focus is.
Absolutely. So we are a BPO, which is stands for Business Process Outsourcing. We are very efficient to figure out how certain processes within business need to be run. For example, a lot of founders, a lot of coders, a lot of people creating products and services, you know very well how to code. You know how to build a product. You know how to service the product. But
Sure.
there's other aspects of the company, from ARAP, customer service, technical
Mhm.
support, that you're not an expert at, and
Yeah.
we are. And so we have the resources in the Philippines and in Mexico and the United States to create a workflow so that at the end of the day, the customer experience
Yeah.
that your clients want and have are executed at the most efficient level with the people available. And there's different labor markets. Some types of labor in the United States are appropriate. Some types of labors in Asia more conforming.
Mm,
Some types of labor in Latin America more, hospitality focused.
100%.
Getting access to these different labor markets to create the overall customer experience clients are looking for
Yeah.
is what we do. And we start with people, we augment with AI and a lot of automation so
Nice.
that you can scale the business through people first. And we have a very amazing AI augmentation team that can then put automation in place so that payroll doesn't become a burden.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. I appreciate you sharing that background. And I know you mentioned that's, you guys specialize in BPO. And I think when it comes to customer experience for a software or technology company, I mean, that's huge for retention and for being able to keep clients over the long term. And I know, we talked before the podcast, but really there's no centralized guide to outsourcing like in the best practices. And so, question I had for you is let's just say, a software or technology founder, they know that they need certain positions outsourced. Do you guys provide any type of consulting or any like frameworks where they can really find like kind of exactly what they need and how it could best fit into their business?
Yeah, so we always start with a discovery. So at the end of the day, tell me exactly kind of the vision of how you see this working. Is it a
Gotcha.
team? Is it a person? Is it an augmented team? Is it fractional? And we will then shoot together ideas and basically whiteboard
Mhm.
the overall process. And, it's always version 1.0, but you got to start somewhere. You
Yeah.
have usually there's this bottleneck within your tech stack or your people stack. And what is going to be needed to then move the get out of that bottleneck and then just create more execution of the vision. And we will work through that because somebody like me can it out in a 30-minute free session much faster than people just throwing stuff at the walls and just spitballing it.
Right.
We're in almost every single industry. We
Nice.
have over 800 employees, 200 current engagement, and probably close to 500 previous engagement. So we have a lot of that human capital
Yeah.
ready to execute. I usually lead those calls myself
Nice.
because I learn so much from the founders. They're I'm a nerd. I want to nerd out a little bit, should figure it out, and um and have the get it. And I also won't waste your time. If
Yeah.
it's not something that I think we can do, I'll be the first to admit it because I have vendors that have overpromised and underdelivered to me. That's not a great place to be, and I don't want to go there. Outsourcing and So ultimately, you're trusting me to build out your infrastructure globally, and I want to see it succeed and scale because
Yeah.
I will be able to provide more resources and invest.
100%. Yeah, I mean, you guys have worked with, like, hundreds of clients up to this point, so I think you being able to leverage that data and finding out if it's a right fit for somebody or not, it can kinda save you guys both a ton of time on the front end, and I know we kinda touched on the solutions for these software and tech businesses specifically that they might know that they need outsourcing, but for those on the fence and, you know, obviously they know that they can't do everything, but maybe they don't really know if they should go the outsourcing route. What are like the top 3 things that every, tech company should know before they consider really outsourcing?
If you have people in your locality,
Mhm.
city that can do it, there's no better option. I call it the home field advantage. If
Nice.
you have those local labor resources, Silicon Valley is a really good place where the people are there that can do it. Are they expensive? Yeah, but most of the time they're worth it. It's when you have a reduction in resources, meaning you don't have the labor
Mhm.
and you don't have the funds, then it's probably time then to look elsewhere globally for the people within your budget. A good example is there's some really great tech companies in Tennessee. Tennessee, like you wouldn't think of, you think of, different industries,
Yeah.
whiskey, all those things. But when you want to find someone with the technical skills to onboard your
Mhm.
SaaS client. So I often say coders
Yeah.
and people building out code, they are the worst person to onboard. Here's where you click. Here's where you upload your information. It just, they just thinking, why am I doing this? This is so, but somebody in the Philippines who's very tech savvy, who's very good at walking somebody through all the different steps of onboarding a dashboard, getting
Mhm.
documents. And that's a perfect example of what
Yeah.
makes sense because you want someone with those skills to onboard somebody in your digital workspace
100%.
and it scales.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I think too, a lot of software and tech companies are obviously trying to stay really lean in how they run their operations, really to protect their margins, and so understanding like what would be best to outsource and how that helps you kind of maintain control over capital is super important. And you kind of touched on it as well of like outsourcing isn't the best for every company. Like there's a
It's
lot
not.
of hit and miss that kind of goes on. What would you say are like the biggest misconceptions that you see about outsourcing today? And really how should like these software and tech companies kind of look to rethink it or change their fundamental understanding?
People that are not part of your overall country or international borders, the
Mhm.
people outside of those borders, they're just as smart as you. A lot of times people feel like by going outside of certain borders
Yeah.
that they're going to see a degradation of quality.
Right.
Well, if that was the case, why does every Fortune 500 company have 40% of their operations done overseas? That doesn't make sense. It's just that their societies are different. For
Mhm.
example, in Asia, Asians are more conforming to societal behaviors. Therefore, working in groups
Mhm.
and large functions is a lot more amenable to that society versus in the United States. People are a lot more independent.
Yeah.
People are a lot more sales focused, financially savvy.
Yeah.
But if you combine both of them together, it's very powerful.
Gotcha.
So the misconception that going with an outsourcing company is going to degrade the quality of your product, if that was true, then outsourcing never would have happened.
100%. Yeah.
Look at your iPhone. The only thing that was done in the US was the design.
Oh, wow.
Everything else was ordered, built, and put together with a huge supply chain of suppliers,
Mhm.
technicians, and a business process outsourcing company putting it all together. And it's a great product. And 90% of it is done outside of the US.
Yeah. No, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's so interesting that kind of based off which country you're looking into potentially outsource solutions for your company, there's so many different like, cultural differences and, I guess that really plays into like the personality traits and really like the characteristics of a potential hire and how they're kind of going to best fit into a specific organization. What would you say is because I'm sure you've worked with software and technology companies as well.
Yes.
what is like a key hire that you usually see them making at a point where, like, let's just say maybe they, they raise some capital and really they're looking to start taking on, more growth and looking to scale their company. What is the key hire that they search for first? And like really where is that being sourced from?
Sales support. So a good example is you'll have somebody in charge of sales
Mhm.
and some type of revenue generating, a CRO, chief revenue officer or salesperson. 95% of sales is administrative work. So we have a large technology sales part of our company worth about 10 million a year.
Oh, wow.
I don't let them do any paperwork. They're terrible at it. You can't even read their writing. They look like they wrote with crayons. Because the reason that is they're taking clients out drinking. They're they're out there with clients, understanding the needs and behaviors of creating relationships. They don't have time to put together a Six Sigma focused administrative summary report.
Right.
Instead, they record their calls. The calls get recorded to a sales support person. That person then dictates the notes. Then they create a scope of work, proposal, and everything out of those conversations in a much more professional manner because we want that salesperson to then, okay, here's your contract done. I'm going to go to the next client. The sales support, the salesperson shouldn't be bogged down in a Salesforce.
Right.
If
100%.
yeah, what is the company name? Where is their address? Who
Yeah.
are you meeting with? What is the volume of that? You know what? A person for $9 an hour can do that just fine.
100%. Yeah, I think you're really striking on a lot of pain points for founders that are kind of doing everything. I know in our business as well, I catch myself getting involved in a lot of that work and it's hard. You almost get spread too thin in certain situations to where, like you mentioned, there are the solutions out there that kind of still make sense and fit in your business. And it just helps you be more squared away in multiple different like aspects of the business.
Yeah, so another key role is a project manager. All a good project manager does is they make sure the right people show up at the right time and they manage deadlines. Call them professional naggers. Did you get that checklist done? Did you order those supplies? Did you do this? Did you do that?
Yep.
We have amazing project managers in Mexico
Oh, nice.
because those women in
Mhm.
Guadalajara that run their house, there's something to be said about a Latina mom making sure that house is no joke. What if they're in charge of making sure all the people show up at the right time, right place with what they need? They do a
It's
good job.
perfect. I love it. I love that's a perfect example as well.
Yeah, and if you tell them that you're late, they will kick your ass.
Yeah.
They will like did you get these things done? I needed this done. And all they would have to say is, can you do it for me? No problem. Let me call them myself and get it done for you. They just
100%.
run a lot of errands. You
Mhm.
don't need an MBA.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think too, it kind of takes pressure off of the leaders within an organization to be doing a lot of that project management, maybe causing some friction for their clients. They can almost have somebody able to do it for them. In a lot of cases, kind of thinking of applying it to my business. If I were to have somebody else, especially a girl, probably a lot more things would get done than if I'm the one asking for it. Right.
Right. And they're not mind readers and there are other things, but there's just at the end of the day, you concentrate on your core strengths and then complement other players around you
Mhm.
that complement you very well.
Yeah.
So we get the people right in Asia and Latin America to
Mhm.
complement those sides. There's other great organizations in Africa, in
Nice.
Europe, Pakistan, other places. So where I see outsourcing failing is when someone rushes just to throw somebody in there
Yeah.
and they didn't do their due diligence. It is equivalent to dating and finding a partner. You really should vet and look at everything. And the
Yeah.
best place to look at is ownership. Has this company you're looking at been acquired 5 or 6 times?
Right.
So are they founder led? Are they executive led? So you have to do your due diligence because you do want people invested in the success of the engagement and
Mhm.
then not just trying to make a quick buck.
Yeah, not just trying to pass that responsibility and that ownership over really to be able to take it into their own hands, essentially. Another question that I had for you as well, kind of coming from a marketing perspective, I'm always curious to know, like, obviously you guys are providing BPO solutions, but how are you really reaching out to new customers and how do they know that like Unity connections exist? Are you doing any kind of like content on social media or do you kind of have a strategy around how you're bringing awareness to the stuff you guys are working on?
Yeah, so we have an incredible marketing team today that specifically puts ourselves in the funnel
Mhm.
when people are researching outsourcing or
Nice,
researching different regions. So we do a lot of content marketing and we do a lot of videos, SEO, and AI enablement. But we work through a lot of AI firms too because they work with us on a lot of engagements.
nice.
Whenever somebody is doing their research online on the pros and cons and just thinks about outsourcing, you will run into one of our digital assets.
Nice.
I took the playbook of simple break fix items from YouTube. Hey,
Mhm.
I don't know how to fix this, so I look up a YouTube video. I
Right.
don't know how to do this. I look up. So I just did the same thing. Hey, if you're interested in outsourcing and looking this, here's some tips, here's things.
Nice.
Because 90% of the time people are going to try to do it on their own, but most of them are going to fail. And then if it's not successful, they can come talk to a professionally managed organization that has gone through that themselves. You have to
Yeah.
keep in mind, I was my very first customer. I started off as an IT integrator and I needed to build out a customer success team. And I originally built it in the US, but gradually I took the US people and I uplifted them into account executive roles
Oh, nice.
yeah, and they train the customer success roles uh, and CX roles in the Philippines so that they can upskill and make more money.
Yep.
And then the work can continue to be done at the rate the market demands. The market is not going to allow you to pay people $40 an hour to do uh, customer service. It's not going to allow you to do that and be profitable. So if you don't listen to the market and that's where you need to be at, then you need to find the right resource that fits that. Now, my account executives are six-figure a year people,
Nice.
but they could not do that without the Philippines and
Uh,
Mexico team doing all of the tier one work.
I love it. So, yeah, you're basically your first customer, and you got to see that proof of concept in your own business in order to be able to provide that level of solutions to your clients at this point. Highly interesting.
I have an obligation for my staff to increase the quality of their lives.
Mm.
So, in order to do that, they have to have greater challenges. And the thing is if you provide them with the greater challenges, they usually step up. And if they can't, you tell them that this is something you need to learn to advance. A good
Yeah.
example is right now, all of our tier one associates in Mexico and the Philippines, they have to have AI experience.
Uh, Gotcha.
If they don't know how to navigate a simple chat GPT prompting, they won't get hired
Smart. Yeah.
because they need to have that intuition built in so that when we are in an engagement and they have to decide, does this make sense to stay in the people stack
Mm.
or do we move it to the digital stack? They won't hesitate. They'll say, hey, I don't think this type of ticket or session should be done by people.
Mm.
We need to move it. And they don't threaten that they're going to lose their job.
Yeah.
Part of their job is to look for that efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's huge, being able to leverage AI in your role, and like you mentioned, it doesn't really you're not just trying to provide augmented AI by itself. You like to have people that are trained on how to use it and how to leverage it in order to really get the best result.
No, I see so many guys at Stanford with a new AI company with a computer in their mom's basement, and now they're an AI company, right?
Yeah,
And some of them are super smart. They're
yeah,
very, very, very good at what they do.
sure.
And but we just don't and some of them are successful. We just start with people first because if you let AI go and do its thing, it's gonna create a cringe moment here and there. You just like you have to manage the AI with people, in my view.
Yeah,
There's some people who disagree, and we'll find out in 30 years if we're living in the Terminator. But our philosophy is people first, enabled by AI, and then if you think of AI as a tree, the people prune the tree. They're
alright,
constantly managing the growth of the tree to make sure it doesn't like take over the forest and
Yeah.
kill everything.
100%. Yeah, so starting with people first and then enabling the people with the AI is really your guys' outlook on how you're looking at that technology, and I couldn't agree more. Maybe when technology matures, especially, in the AI space a little bit more, things could change, but for now, I'm pretty much in that same boat as you in the way I look at that.
Yeah, so I do a lot of creative work and the creative generative AI like when I create covers and pictures, I usually will choose one out of 200 images, right?
Mm.
But when some of those images are wrong, it's awful.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't really know, but, like, yeah, same thing for the content side on our end as well. I can't just let AI run wild by itself, even though it would be nice, but when it's cringe, it's a lot of times it's, like, super cringy.
Yeah, you're like, "No, I'm gonna walk away." Yeah,
Yeah,
and the voice AI does the same thing.
right.
And so if you think of it from an image generation perspective, that's very common in every AI language learning.
No,
Like we were programming our chatbots
uh-huh.
that, and I haven't launched it yet because I still don't like it. But all of a sudden, the chatbot was saying, telling somebody Unity Communications is a software platform. I'm like, no, 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 no,
No,
stop, stop.
have to
We
go
do not
back to it.
develop yeah, we do not develop software and all. We just know different AI platforms that make sense.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, it's
Someone
interesting to see how you guys are kinda balancing the use of AI there and where you're enabling it really, and that kinda leads me to my next question as well. But what would you say are some key goals for Unity Communications in the next 12 months? Like, are you guys looking to roll out any new initiatives? Is there anything that anybody that might be watching should be on the lookout for?
I would say probably our biggest initiative over the next year is to have a proof of concept of every single department.
Wow.
So right now we have a proof of concept of voice and call center agents.
Huh?
We have a proof of concept of chatbots and customer experience automations that will lead to. We have case studies for sales support. We do not have a successful case study in HR because HR, that's the one of the things I'm really sensitive about. We have
Yeah.
so HR, there's marketing,
Mhm.
there's operations, there's recruitment, there's business development. So I want a case study, a successful case study of every single flavor of every department in a business today.
100%. Yeah.
So we're like 30% there,
Nice.
but like the recruitment side is just awful to trench through. Like we see these videos of people interviewing with AI agents, and I just thinking to myself, is that the experience I want to give somebody when they're applying for me?
Probably not. Right.
But then we ran a language learning model on sourcing. And what we discovered is that people are using AI
Hmm.
to answer job ads.
Oh,
So when the AI is responding to another AI answering job ads, it then creates this back and forth of two bots, and there's
yeah.
no humans.
Right. What's the point?
Yeah, everybody's lying to each other.
The AI is it's just a competition of AI at that point.
It is. So we thought we had something until we got, someone sent me this use case and I
Mhm.
said like, wait, this isn't an actual person. This is an AI somebody wrote to answer job ads.
Yeah. Uh,
And it was pretty good until it wasn't.
yeah, 100%.
Yes. And then they even fought against each other a little bit. Like it's like,
Oh my gosh.
that those are not the requirements I'm looking at. I don't think you're a good fit. Well, no, no, no. So that has a long way to go.
Yeah.
And we're estimating 40% of all the LinkedIn traffic coming out of recruitment is
Mhm.
all AI.
Oh, really? Huh. So that's when you're referring to recruitment activity, that is like potential job postings and like a lot of the outreach that's going on in that space, it's mainly or almost half of it's coming from AI, pretty much?
Yes,
Huh.
I guarantee you it is.
Yeah. For me, it's a dead giveaway whenever I see, like, the really large dash in, like, a job description or in somebody will pop in my LinkedIn message and it's like an ad for a potential job or whatever the case is. And then whenever I see like a fairly large dash or whatever, you can almost just tell like everything will sound perfect, kind of like you mentioned. It's perfect until it's not. And then you can kind of tell that like, oh, I get this AI feel. I can't put a word to it exactly just yet, but because it's still kind of the early stages, but I'm starting to be able to tell the difference between like, no, no, this is AI and this is something actually written by a person.
Yeah, and people still make buying decisions with other people. And what we discovered, and part of being an entrepreneur is you figure out what doesn't work
Right.
faster than what does work. And what we discovered with recruitment is you really want the best person for this role. Best person is going to be offended if the person interviewing them isn't real.
Right. Yeah.
And it is personal. It's
Yeah.
not just business, it's personal. This is a person's livelihood. This is
Right.
how they feed their family. And for you to put a machine to welcome them is kind of, pardon my French, fucked up.
Yeah, it's a bad first impression, and I think a lot of the highest level people in the job market, they have options available, and so, like, a bad first impression could really just cause them to skip from maybe it was a perfect fit for them, but there's no way for them to tell if they detect that it was just like an AI machine that wrote their job description.
And I use AI all the time to write job descriptions, but I tweak them
Yep,
and I will put at the bottom a lot of times this was 85% written by AI.
I love that.
So for any questions, please reach out to us. I promise you an AI person is not answering any questions.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm just being very, very transparent. AI helped me write it, but we did tweak it and we read it.
Perfect, that's great. Yeah, as long as you're kind of optimizing it yourself, then you can add personalized touch and make it feel a lot more real, I guess. And so I know you kind of mentioned as well, like really the goal is to get multiple use cases across different departments and functions within business, really kind of moving forward into the next year. And you guys are about 30% there. And it really sounds like you have a good grip on just your understanding of the business from your years of experience. And you take like an intelligent approach to how you're solving a lot of the problems and really what you're seeing and kind of learning fast. So a question I always like to ask is, and I'd really be curious to get your answer is like hypothetically, if we could wave a magic wand and it could solve one thing and help you get to that goal of getting the successful use cases across, multiple different departments in business, do you know maybe what that one thing would be, I guess?
It's hard to tell,
Yeah.
really, because we're in such an unprecedented age. I would say if there's one thing that would really propel me to the next level, it's probably the misconception that we're in a global economy.
Right.
People are the same. And how many people do you know that play video games are often playing against players from all over the world
Right.
all the time? They're just as skilled as you are.
Yeah.
Except the Koreans, they're better than everybody. But if I was to wave a magic wand and say that this would be the major thing, it would be the idea that people really want to help other people
Yeah.
succeed.
Yeah. 100%.
There's a lot of fear happening
Mhm.
between AI displacing people, and I don't share that fear. And I use the Instagram analogy.
Mhm.
You want to hear it?
Sure.
Remember when Instagram was just pictures?
Yeah.
Now it's all videos and reels. 1 second of video is 60 pictures, right?
Okay.
30 to 60 pictures. So 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second, right?
Mhm.
Are you consuming less?
No.
Humans are organic consumption monsters.
Yeah.
It just means that one human is going to have to produce 60 times more product
Mm.
to satisfy the human appetite. So I would just buckle up because we're just going to be way more productive
Mhm.
and people are going to consume more. And we're not going to reach it without AI enablement.
Right. So just learning how to adapt and be able to leverage it to kinda keep up with the curve is pretty much would you say that's advice you maybe would leave everybody with?
Yeah, if you're going to resist this change, then there's going to be the digital goods
Mhm.
part of the economy and the organic goods. A good example of organic goods that will always be here, restaurants, food
Yeah.
and drink, um, things that I consume a little bit more often than I should, racing events, social events, all the things that make the human experience authentic. But then you have the digital goods on, for example, workspaces, Facebook, socials, where people organize the human events. So if people are AI kind of resistant or reluctant, they will probably start moving into the more organic and human experience fields where maybe they don't work very well in software,
Yeah.
but they make a really good fucking cupcake.
There you go.
And so both economies are going to exist together,
Yeah.
but someone who becomes a really amazing baker is going to have to figure out how to use an AI to make sure their website,
Yeah.
products, and services are being done efficiently.
I love that. I appreciate your insights into that. I could totally see the difference between, like you mentioned, the digital marketplaces and then also still the human side of things as well. And I know you mentioned like the biggest bottleneck in the like your answer to the magic wand question is really changing people's misconception about like skills and talent with kind of where they're sourcing it from, and that everybody is just as talented as you. They just have like a different cultural background, and they, certain roles might fit better based off of really where they're from and what their experience has been. And so I know you do a lot of content on
Mhm.
social media. You do a lot of speaking as well. And so is that really something that you've been communicating out to like your audience and everybody that you're getting in front of?
I'll give you a perfect example. The United States, we grew up on computers,
Mhm.
first desktops, laptops, and then finally smartphones. The Philippines, Mexico, and Africa went straight to cell phones,
Oh.
smartphones. They didn't have a laptop.
Mhm.
They didn't have access to a computer, but they had a smartphone.
Right.
They know how to do things better on smartphones than we do. So a lot of times when someone is creating a website, they'll have teams in the Philippines and Africa looking at the website on how it appears on a mobile device.
Uh, yeah.
So believe it or not, they're better at the overall experience navigating on a smartphone than
Wow.
Americans.
100%.
They didn't have a laptop.
Yeah.
They used what they had
Mm.
and then became better at it. And so if your end product is going to be displayed on a cell phone, your programmers probably are not in the US.
Wow. That's
They're in,
I
they're
love
in
that
Eastern
example.
Europe.
100%. Yeah. I think too, especially in like the e-commerce space, which I had previous experience in, 80% of traffic was coming through mobile, like a mobile view of a website. And so knowing that a lot of the times the teams developing that technology in these websites are, like you mentioned, I think, Eastern Europe, which is great.
Now, will America catch up? Yeah. We are the most creative, we are some of the most hardest working people in the world. America has an infrastructure of individualism and creativity that is unmatched because the stakes are higher in the US. And also, with 350 million people in the United States, you only have to make your product wanted by 0.01% of the population.
Oh wow.
Norway, Denmark, they have populations in their countries of 5 million people.
Oh wow.
What product can you make to get to that? So
Right.
because America has such a large population, diverse population, you can create weird products and services in the United States that make you successful with just a fraction of the market, and you're good.
100%.
So it will always be one of the leaders globally in product design and development.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. You've got so many unique insights that, you shared on this podcast, and hopefully this kind of works as a channel or a platform for you to communicate out that message that we just talked about previously. But, if there is anybody that maybe watches this podcast and maybe they want to connect with Patrick or they want to check out Unity Communications, really outside of your guys' website, what would be the best social media platform for them to really follow along your journey?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
So I am not very active on social media because I have been victimized too many times with the doom scrolling hour-long sessions. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I've seen enough cat videos. I gotta go to bed. So yeah, and then I do a lot of streaming for I love to work with a lot of people when we stream, doing a lot of techno and chants and music online. It's a lot of
Nice.
fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I've definitely been a victim of, doom scrolling too. I think it's something that's kind of new and it's, like, only been happening the past couple of years, but the algorithms are so strong that you almost get targeted and you're like you said, sooner than later, you're like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah, yeah. The other day I was really caught up in watching, car accidents, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
just anything.
there's you're like people are stupid. What and they why am I enjoying people running their cars into each other? So I was like, you know
Right.
what? I got better things to do.
That's hilarious. But no, I'll be sure to include links in the descriptions to your guys' LinkedIn profile, the website, all of that good stuff. I highly recommend that you guys do check out Unity Communications and all the awesome stuff that they're working on. But really, other than that, Patrick, I just wanted to tell you thank you so much for your time and really for your insights today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Thank you for me having on your show. And I really, really enjoyed talking.
I appreciate it. Well, there you have it, guys. We will catch you in the next video.